Welcome to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation's DIF, the interactive online event series that aims to shift mindset and inspire action towards a circular economy. All through the week, we have been and will be sharing and exploring disruptive ideas across a range of topics. My name is Clémence, and I'll be hosting the session. Remember that this is an interactive event, so please do share any thoughts, comments, or questions in the comment box next to the video or on Twitter using the hashtag ThinkDiff. Today, in this session, we will discuss the transition towards a circular food system. What is needed to achieve this transition and who needs to be involved? I'm delighted to introduce Simona Grande, an academic tutor and researcher. As a previous research fellow and academic tutor for the Food Innovation Program, she has interviewed more than 500 food experts globally and had coordinated a team of 15 international researchers investigating the future of food. So, Simona, I'm curious to know, why food?
Thank you very much. And hello to everyone who's following us live and also to the ones that will be following us later. So yes, as you said, in the past 5 years, I've been researching and coordinating research teams, especially on the topics of food service, the future of proteins, agricultural innovation, climate change, biodiversity, and of course, sustainable development and a circular economy. So my research has been related mainly to innovations and signals of change in the food system across 20 countries. And I had the opportunity and also the privilege to interview, as you said, over 500 experts and attend workshops and seminars at very different institutions like Wageningen University, MIT, UC Davis, Stanford, Singapore University of Technology and Design. And it's been really an incredible life-changing experience. So coming back to your question, why food? Well, being born and raised in the Italian countryside, surrounded by fields and food feasts from the very beginning, I can say it deeply impacted my relationship with food. So I grew up eating vegetables and fruits grown in my family backyard, and the slow food movement started a few kilometers from my hometown. So since childhood, I've developed also an interest in understanding different cultures and everything that seemed different to what I was used to. So very soon I realized that food was perfect, was a perfect, tangible mean for that. And the way we eat is actually the result of a complex and multifaceted cultural process. There's entangling different traditions, origins, and cultures. So that is the reason why food. And then why circular economy? Well, my background is in international economics, so the topic of circular economy has been very fascinating for me and intriguing as it encompasses like best practices, business models, and it's becoming more and more relevant, and it's necessary to be discussed.
Thank you. So can you maybe tell us about your recent experiences with the circular food system and what types of projects you've been doing?
Definitely. So I'm currently at Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico at the campus Querétaro. And last week, I've been involved as a mentor of the Heineken Green Challenge. This is an initiative that the multinational company launched together with Inc. Monterrey in order to find innovative solutions and disruptive innovations for present and future challenges. Almost 800 ideas applied, and many of them were embedding a circular practice into the project. So where I am now, Tecnológico de Monterrey is a private nonprofit Mexican university that has over, with 31 campuses located in 25 states all over Mexico and is hosting 90,000 students. So this challenge has been very, very interesting and very, it's been very interesting to be involved. And so the institution, the Tecnológico de Monterrey, has the vision to educate leaders with entrepreneurial spirit and humanistic outlook and to make them internationally competitive. And it's hosting more and more initiatives such the Heineken Green Challenge. Also, for example, the Global Entrepreneurship Summer School I've been also involved in, and that was also about circular economy. Together with that, last month, I've been part of the team that was involved at DG Edu Hack. That has been a 20-hour marathon, a hackathon pioneered by Aalto University in Finland and EIT. And that brought together over 1,700 innovations in 21 countries that were working simultaneously to find solutions related to the future of education. And the Torino edition, the one I was involved, that was with EIT Food, was actually about a circular economy and how might we promote urban food circularity also with education and with technology. And in this case, EIT is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and is a unique EU initiative that spurs innovation and entrepreneurship across Europe by addressing societal challenges such as climate change and, of course, the circular economy transition. And then another example is this summer I had the chance to be in New York City during the United Nations Sustainable Development Week. And in that week, I visited the NYU, the New York University, where I learned about interesting projects related to the creation of circular systems and different initiatives to try to make New York a more circular city. So, for example, I've encountered the New York Stern Center for Sustainable Business that develops and disseminates original research that are targeted at improving performance of sustainable practices in key industries. And one of the things they developed was very interesting for me is the return on sustainability investment, the ROSI methodology, to monetize the benefits of sustainable practices. So this ROSI can be applied to practices throughout an organization that already are implemented or are currently in development or for future projects. So it's a way for measuring the impact and also to understand how to monetize on sustainability. So when we started brainstorming about this podcast, we started realizing about common patterns, being these educational, entrepreneurial ecosystem potential enablers of the transition towards circular economy in food and more sustainable approach to businesses in general.
Thank you, Simona. I have to say this is a very impressive resume, and we're very happy to have your expertise for today's session. So maybe to go back and introduce our subject a bit more, what do we know and what should we know about the circular food system?
Yes, so according to the definition from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, a circular economy is a systemic approach to economic development, and it's designed to benefit businesses, society, and the environment. But what we also know is that currently 1/3 of all food that we produce globally, that is worth about $1 trillion US, is actually thrown away each year. And also we know that each production process, of course, generates some kind of waste or leftovers. So in a circular system logic, however, food is designed to a cycle. So the byproducts from one enterprise provide input for the next one, and byproducts are turned into new products. The circular economy basically wants to mimic natural systems of regeneration, so that waste does not actually exist, but it's instead feedstocking for another cycle. Maybe we can share a little graph on this if you want.
Yeah, feel free to do that.
Here we are. We have an explanation of how it works.
Okay, we can see it now. Perfect.
Yeah. Great. So this graph a little bit tries to summarize what we just said about what a circular food system is. And we see that there is, of course, prevention that is a big part of it. And then there is the redistribution of byproducts into the so-called bioeconomy. So these byproducts from production processes can become new materials, and bioenergy can become inputs for agriculture, or can be the new ingredients for making new food products.
This is great. Perfect. Thank you very much, Simona. I think that helps a lot. But we're here today to not just talk about circular food systems, but something more particular to that, which is the, let me find the right words, education, entrepreneurial ecosystems. So can you maybe tell us more about what that is?
Sure. So we will be talking about entrepreneurial universities, for example, and other educational institutions that are going beyond their traditional role of providing only education, but are incorporating research, innovation, knowledge transfer, and entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much. Maybe if you could just unshare your screen so that the audience can hear your answer better. That would be great. Sorry. Okay, great. So then let's dive in these education entrepreneurial systems. I believe you have a couple of case studies today to help our audience understand what these are. So I guess you'll share your screen again and present these case studies.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll do it now. So
while you share the screen, maybe I can remind the audience that this is an interactive event. So there's a comment box next to the video you're seeing right now, and please leave us your comments.
Perfect. Yes, so I do have a couple of case studies that I would like to highlight and discuss about. And I actually brought two coming from NYU, from New York University, that I had the chance to meet during my recent visit. So the first one, and I believe it's shared with you, is called Rice Products. So Rice is a food tech startup that uses its patent pending process to convert organic byproducts into food grade ingredients. And the first food product that they started to produce is a high protein, high fiber, low calorie, and sustainable alternative flour made from spent grain, which are basically the byproduct of the breweries. So what they did is that they created an ecosystem based in New York City, and they started collecting these spent grains, so the leftovers from the brewing process, to turn it into this very nutritious flour. And what they do now is that they sell online to home chefs and also directly in bulk to customers in the food and hospitality industry. And so we have now more than 20. They have now more than 20 bakery and restaurant. And they're expanding across all United States. And the whole idea is to make this product as much local as possible. So they created these ecosystems and these collection ways. So I'm gonna change the slide to actually show you how this process works. So first, of course, there's like the collection of the spent grains. Then it gets this leftovers get transported. They're then
sorry, Simona. Let me cut you here. I'm so sorry, but we can't see the right slide right now. So can you try to go to the next slide again?
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It's always a hassle to deal with.
Is it working
technical
now?
things. think, can we? No, we cannot see the right slide now.
Which one do you see?
We just see, we don't see anything.
Okay. Interesting. You see me?
No, we don't see you.
Okay. Maybe I'll stop sharing again.
Yes, maybe you can just talk us
Maybe I can just
the
explain.
process.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely. Yes. So I'm gonna start my video again so you can see me.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So yes, it starts with the collection of the spent grains, and they get transported, in this case, with the case of New York City, to Long Island City. And then they get dehydrated. So from 75% moisture to 8% moisture. And then the leftover again that is obtained is stone milled and sifted, and then it becomes actually flour that is then sold to this home restaurant or bakeries across all New York City. So this is how the process works. And this is how they built this very interesting ecosystem in order to actually make it tangible, to have New York being a more circular city locally, and like building this very interesting ecosystem. And that was the first example that I had. And the second one, so while visiting NYU, I also got to learn about other projects, because this is part of the bigger circular systems initiative that NYU has. And the other one is grounded upcycling. And what they do is partnering with local coffee shops to collect and upcycle coffee grounds into an array of value-added products. And they started, for example, with body soaps. And it's been very interesting as well to meet them and understand how they created this ecosystem and this network of local coffee shops in New York in order to collect the leftovers of their production and giving new value, turning it into new products. And in this case, you see that it's not a new food product, but might be also something else. And in this case, is body soap. So circular economy is something very interesting, because with the food product, you can end up having other new products. And it's been very, very fascinating to learn this.
That is very interesting indeed. Thank you very much for these case studies. I put the picture of Grounded, the upcycled coffee soap. I think our audience will be able to see that. So, all right. So then my question for you would be, how many or what other similar initiatives are they in the world, and how important are they?
Circular economy in food is definitely becoming more and more important, and we can see many initiatives worldwide at the moment, coming from startups, but also from the corporate world that is trying to also understand how to benefit from the circular economy. And talking about young innovators and still talking about these ecosystems, I would like maybe to talk about last year findings. So I was visiting a do-it-yourself workshop and makerspace in Hong Kong, and I got to know about a very interesting project that is called Dialicious. So it's a startup that collects vegetables and food waste, also, for example, from schools or from restaurants, dehydrates this waste, and turns it into powders that are then used for producing dyes for textiles. And it's been beautiful. And it's been, again, another example of how food can become something else, how we could transition and how we could produce new products. We could give new value to food waste, not only producing new food, but also new products, as in the case of Delicious as well. And then, of course, like around the world, we've been seeing a lot of these examples also in the Netherlands. For example, there's In Stock, that is a restaurant that is turning food waste coming from supermarket into delicious dishes, and many more all around the world.
Thank you very much, Simona. So coming back to our main subjects, that are these educational entrepreneurial systems, because now I think and I hope that our audience has a good idea of what that is. My question for you is, why are they so important in this transition towards a circular food system?
Yes, so I would like to try to define this in 3 points. So first of all, education is key to any kind of change. So in this case, we are speaking about a change and shift in how we look at business models and the economy at large. So universities can be spaces of thoughts and discussion where ideas can collide, and definitely it's a good place where to start from. Secondly, universities can provide physical and tangible platforms and also infrastructures where ideas can not only collide but also nourish. And some of the most ideas nowadays are bottom-up ones. So it means they emerge from the market, from the third sector, and from individuals. So we no longer see them happening only in ordinary labs as it was happening in the past, but also in maker spaces, during hackathons, through events. So entrepreneurial universities and educational entrepreneurial ecosystems are the ones that can actually capture, foster, and accelerate solutions, bringing them to society in different ways. And the third point is that circular economy is certainly a phenomenon that is gaining momentum. It's a trend, and it has been gaining traction as an approach for achieving local and global sustainability, and it has received increased attention from the multinationals and also from policymakers. We can say that the conversation has been started, but ultimately, circular economy will require further extensive research and new tools in order for it to be actionable and also measurable. So entrepreneurial universities and these ecosystems can be the ones to continue this conversation with content, defining what works and what doesn't work, what makes sense, what real impact is, and how we can measure it.
Thank you very much. So these partnerships or cooperations that we've been talking about between educational institutions and research, innovation, entrepreneurship, what is needed for these ecosystems to thrive? You just mentioned new tools. We need research and new tools. What would these be?
Definitely. So definitely more research, new tools, but shifting from linear to circular cannot happen from one day to another, right? So it will require more and more a systemic approach, systemic solutions, and an interdisciplinary, multi-sectoral approach, but also together with enabling policies that can make this happen. So for example, the 2030 United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development set 17 goals and 169 targets. And we can find a strong relationship between circular economy practices and the targets, the SDGs. So for example, the SDG 6 clean water and sanitation, the SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, the SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, SDG 15, life on land, and definitely the most interesting one and most connected one is SDG 12, that is responsible consumption and production. So this is like at the very international level. And within the European Union, for example, the circular economy package covers the whole cycle from production and consumption to waste management. And the cohesion policy investments total more than 150 billion euros for 2014 to 2020 in this field. So we see that there are more and more interest also coming from policymakers, and they will be needed as enablers of this new of this transition. And for example, circular economy has just been nominated as #1 priority of European Green Deal. And talking about my country, for example, Italy, Italy has recently announced that it will be the first country in the world to embed sustainability and climate change as compulsory subjects. So we see this happening already, but it will be more and more required. So of course, combining like research with like tangible tools to make circular economy measurable, and definitely policies as enablers of this transition.
Right. So like you said, education, research, and policies should all work together to make sure that this transition to a more sustainable and circular world can happen. We have a question from the audience right now, from Annabella on the website. She would like to know what you learned from your research about making a business case for companies for them to transform their value chains. So what she means by that is, what is the starting point to become more circular?
Definitely. Yes, it's a very interesting question, and thank you very much. Of course, as said, we see this coming as a trend, and is something that is like more and more interesting for startups, but also for corporate. And of course, it has to embed a measurability aspect and a way for companies to actually understand how they are impacting through these circular practices. So what I can say that I found out from my interviews is that businesses are still in need of more research, more tools for measuring their impact, and to actually understand what they can do that could benefit them in a very broad spectrum. So of course, that can be also interesting as a business perspective. And so tools like the one developed by the New York University ROSI methodology to monetize the benefits of sustainable practices can be very interesting for them to measure what they do, because of course, the circular economy is gaining momentum. There are more and more startups, more and more innovation, but sometimes we still don't know, and big businesses require a lot of data, a lot of research, and require, since they're so big, they're of course the ones that can start this more than others sometimes, because they have also the infrastructure and enough resources for actually pioneering new projects. But at the same time, they have to make sure that what they're doing makes sense, and it's not just something they're doing for corporate social responsibility or like, but it's something that they can actually embed. So what I'm seeing is that there is a lot of research going on and a lot of research that will be needed to actually make a business case for circular economy.
Actually, that links very well to another question we had on Twitter from Luke. He asked, what is next for you? You've gathered a lot of data. You've talked to so many experts on the food industry. What are you intending to do with all of this, all that knowledge, all this data?
Thank you. Wow, it's a very interesting question, and of course it's been very interesting, and I would like to continue working in this field as more research is needed. Definitely, I'm looking forward to new projects in this field and to be of support of both like ecosystems and businesses that want to embed these learnings and want to actually try to foresight a little bit what the future of food will be.
Thank you. So I guess a last question for you would be, what are the main takeaways for our audience today? What are the maybe 3 main points that you really want them to take from this session?
Yes. So in 3 points, definitely systemic approach, multi-sectoral. Diversity is key in anything, I believe, and also in this approach. So definitely more systemic thinking, and we see a lot of initiatives that are coming from different actors that are making us hopeful. So definitely systemic approach, multi-sectoral, multidisciplinary approach. And secondly, the ecosystem approach as the one that can foster research, innovation, knowledge transfer. And so this need for more tools, more research to actually understand and implement circular economy in the best way possible. And then the third one that I would like to say is that, of course, circular economy seems a very broad topic, but each person actually, so each of us can actually make a difference. Each of us can be part of the change. And so by doing waste segregation or by whatever we eat, whatever we buy, we know that we can vote with our fork somehow, right? So we can impact the economic system and this transition towards circular economy with the food we buy, we decide to eat, the products we choose. So definitely, everyone can make a big impact in this transition.
Thank you so much, Simona, for your time. I hope the audience at home found this session as interesting as I did. We learned a lot from the circular food system, what needs to be put in place for these ecosystems to thrive. I think maybe the main things that I take away from this session is that we need a circular food system for the world to be in a better place. We need to design out waste of the current system and create new value. I think I really like that you said we create new value through education, research, policy, and by working together. I also really like what you just said, vote with your fork. I think this is a great way to end the session. And I want to thank you, Simona, for taking the time to talk to us today. And obviously, I want to thank everyone who took the time to watch this session and who wrote comments and questions. We have a lot more sessions coming up at the DIF today and tomorrow. So go to thinkdif.co to find the full schedule.
Thank you very much.